everyone. Welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology. And this is your astrological reading for the week of December 18th through the, 24th. I have my notes here. Happy holidays or Merry Christmas, whichever. Well, I'll tell you next week too anyway, but let's start having fun. So this is a really big week. We have Jupiter moving into Aries. Then we're also having the winter solstice, so the first day of winter in the northern hemisphere, and it'll be the first day of summer in the southern hemisphere. To all my friends that live in the future, Australia, New Zealand, South America, South Africa, sending you big hugs. And what else? We have, the new moon. We have the new moon in Capricorn, which, I don't know, some people are calling it a new supermoon, but I don't know. I'm not buying it. It's closer to the earth, that's all. But it's dark. It's not a full moon, so it's the opposite. But anyway, let me stop blabbing, bring the camera down overhead, and show you these charts. It's just such a big week full of tons of energy. Hold on. Okay, so first I just have to talk about the finger of fate, the yod, finger of God, whatever you want to call it. This one's here all week again. So we're talking, I thought it was just a few days, and I started looking at the charts going, whoa. So it was all last week, and I think maybe a day or so before even last week, like it cut off, I cut my week off on a Saturday, but I think it started on a Saturday, went all the way through last week, and now it's going all the way through this week up to Saturday. But there's two of them here. Okay, so let me go over this one again. Excuse me. So the South Node is our past. In Scorpio, we have the opportunity to transform our resentments, our old places of anxiety and anger. And the only way I can ever do that is to get inside of what I really want. Like if I've ever been angry or resentful at someone, I always had to ask myself, well, but what do I really want? What am I not getting from this person? Was it respect? Was it boundary, a healthy boundary, like just back off, What was it? And then it helped me to get clear with how to say what I needed to say, but in a loving way. Unless it's somebody who's, just not, in case there's no love there, then there's no love lost, and you just go. You say what you have to say and set the healthy boundary, and you go. But if you can't open your heart to yourself, if you can't make up your mind to open your heart to yourself and know that you matter, now I'm speaking to Chiron and Aries here and Mars and Gemini, if you can't make that needed adjustment to create the opportune, the flow, the opportunity between your gifts and your motivations, then you're going to just stay stuck in the past. And that will keep you stuck in victim energy and consciousness. And that is an aspect with the moon today coming from Neptune. So it's so hard because who knows how many lifetimes we've gone through where we were taken to our death or beat up in such terrible ways or hurt in terrible, terrible ways, or maybe even other family members were hurt in the most terrible of ways along with us because we spoke up, right? So we're having to be present, become present with the North Node in Taurus, become present with the fact that it's different now. Right? This is now. That was then. No more. You take a deep breath. You can call the authorities if you need to. You can do whatever you need to protect yourself. Now, if it's a big person that can really hurt you, I'm not saying to get in a fight with this person. I'm saying to plan your way to get out of it. And so there's so much from the past coming up that I don't know what it could be for each one of you. There's no way I can say. But with Scorpio, we're dealing with trust issues. With the polarity to to Taurus, the Taurus-Scorpio polarity with the nodes, we're dealing with safety issues. We're dealing with intensity when it comes to Scorpio. Sometimes it creates crisis in our lives, and we need to, get out of that. And you'll probably notice that we have, and this one lasts for a few days, and I'll put this one in green just to make it a different situation here, but we have two of them. There's two of these finger of fates, two of these yods. These are rare because they're rare as far as lasting for more than, a couple of, because usually they involve the moon as things move around, or the ascendant in a natal chart. But because we're dealing with the nodes, and now this one goes up to Mercury. See how it's 12 to 16? 12 and a half actually to 16 and a half. So we're dealing with a less than 3, or up to at the most 3-degree orb, right? But they're all pointing, well, this one we have the hot point down here at Mars. With this one, the hot point is at the south node. So let's talk about Mars and Gemini again. This one is where we are motivated to learn something new. We're motivated to try and figure out what's going on. We're motivated to questioning the past. We're motivated to create something solid and thinking more in sustainable ways, solid ways with Mercury and Capricorn. And this is here for us for the next few days, and this one's here for us for the entire week, all the way through to Saturday. So, I mean, it's an amazing week. You probably heard on the news that, we have the invention of fusion energy now, even though it could be 3 decades or so, they're saying, before, 30 years or so before it could be used on a basis where it's applicable to everyone, or to be used commercially. And that is our polarity here with that. So Uranus rules lasers, Taurus rules safety, and I've been saying for quite some time I expected to see more and more. So the North Node, where we're all headed, is joined with Uranus. And I've been saying, I expect to see lots of inventions that help us become more safe. And that's the deal, energy lasers that are renewable. There's no carbon, there's no carbon footprint. Wow. So, and even this, it's the same energy that could charge batteries. So maybe no more of the need for any type of uranium, or even, I don't know about lithium, because, well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I can never fathom with my pea brain what could be invented. So science, we have science here. You'll notice that the square, for now, from Uranus to Saturn is not there, right? I think we're done with that. But we do have today, we have a trine to the moon here. You see the Saturn trine moon. So there's a nice flow of, I don't know, I would say the energy to connect in ways that get us thinking outside the box, in ways that help us to connect, basically. You have to remember the Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus is up here in Capricorn. And again, these two traveling through time together, Pretty soon the sun's going to turn in or move to Capricorn. We'll have that new moon in Capricorn. Pluto's already there. We already have a stellium in Capricorn energy. That's 3 or more planets in one sign. But it's soon to be 4. And when that happens, we are really headed in a direction where things can become solid. So we want to be careful, with our spending, with all kinds of things. When we're in Capricorn territory, we're talking resources, right? Or physical resources. So the square here to the moon in Libra, from Pluto to the moon, that's not easy. This could make for relationship blow-ups. Red should be here as well. So we've got the easy flow, but it doesn't always mean it's easy. It's a contact point. So we have the contact point between thinking outside the box. And so if you've been in a bad relationship, it might be, and on any level, friend, partner, lover, whatever, service person, whatever, co-worker, all of these relationships are being questioned as to why am I in this again? Why is this happening again? Things that should never you shouldn't have to deal with. But obviously we do, because we're not done. And like I said before, we're not done until we're done, and you keep working it. But you learn. And we all live and learn. So relationship issues where we're wanting to connect, we're wanting to think outside the box, we are wanting to think in ways that, where we can merge our resources with someone that we trust. We've got trust issues here. We need solidity. We need a solid foundation. We don't want to be working to build something with another person that's not sustainable. And so that's what this whole stellium here, it will be, when we add the sun, all of this Capricorn energy, this is what we're moving into. And the new moon's coming in Capricorn at the end of the week, and on Friday, and when that happens, because it's at the same time as a solstice change, it could create that type of energy for the whole season. And, Capricorn and winter season are always about going inward, always about getting clear with what really matters. Is this something I can count on? And that's what Saturn rules. And then Saturn in Aquarius is about rules for humanity. We need to get the Presidential Powers Act passed. We need the Voting Rights Act passed. We need to codify Roe. We need to pass the Electoral Count Act, most of all, so we don't have another, January 6th riot. And that may be exactly what comes through this week, because the J6 committee is saying that they're going to try to get it done early, get the report out even before the 21st, and along with that report go criminal referrals, right? So there we are, right there. Those relationships based on, and this yod that's been staying here for us to do our spiritual healing work is also there with this big finger of fate pointing to the past on the political level. And Scorpio in the darkest is someone who creates crisis, someone who is psychopathic and a malignant narcissist. I know that's redundant. Someone who's a born psychopath who wanted to install himself for president and just stay there. Someone who wants to throw out the Constitution. Someone who, I'm doing this reading on Thursday, as of this morning, I don't know when he actually posted it, but it was on the news this morning. I took a picture of it and posted it in the community section because it was just unbelievable. But it was a picture of his head on a superhero, big Trump, WWE belt on his waist, and he's got the hot body. God. And he's now selling digital digital cards of him and his superpowers. It's like, okay, the dude has finally lost it. He's now at that point in his dementia, early Alzheimer's, where it's the beginning stages, of something really bad. There's no, I mean, you have to remember, he had to go through those tests. Remember the camera, man, woman, chair. Remember all that? I remember him going through that. A person doesn't go through that unless they're in cognitive, decline. Unless you just want to go and have yourself tested, that's fine. But he's the idiot that talked about it, right? And now here we are witnessing him in that place where, what they did with his dad is they let him go to the office. He had a secretary that stayed there when he was there, and she just put, typed out whatever with places for him to sign his signature. And he maybe did it, like 1 hour a day when he started getting really bad. And he would just go into the office and pretend he was still important and sign papers that weren't real, and then go home. And that was his thing. So Mr. Flump is headed in that direction. He has totally lost it. And we are witnessing it, and we're learning more and more. I mean, it's kind of entertaining at this point. Hold on, I need a Kleenex here. I don't know what's going to come next with this guy, I swear. I put these patterns in his chart, and I just go, yeah, okay, well, this should be interesting, and it proves to be. You just keep looking at it going, whoa. So anyhow, what else is for the entire week? So this pattern here, all week long, the healing pattern for us, to get inside of our gifts, to let go of the fear of putting ourselves out there. I went into that deeply last week and about how these healing patterns show up in our ability to heal our bodies for us, because the universe is always trying to help us heal. It's for us. It's not against us. We're the ones that make everything against us. We're the ones that do that with our minds. So we're in this place now where we can unravel all that, and we can question our false beliefs and turn them around. And okay, so this pattern I think is going to be in here for quite a few days. I didn't check on it, but let's talk about it because it's lovely. So coming off of Mercury and Venus. So think of Mercury and Venus as being relationship conversations, brainstorming if it's a work relationship, which it very well may be in Capricorn. Brainstorming sessions as to, we're going into 2023. What do you want the next year to be like? What do we want to create? What do we need to get bolted down? Maybe it's like, maybe we should get insurance of a certain type. Maybe we need to check our homeowner's insurance. Maybe we need to, whatever it is, to become more safe and to have your work life run more smoothly. That's what's on the table. And then with this trine, so we have double trine here to Uranus in the North Node. This is what it's all about. It's this flow of energy and consciousness that moves forward in a way, holds us. It holds us. It holds space for us in a way so that we can create safety, more of an easy flow. So like if you have a bigger business, if you have a business at all, and you have any employees, you need OSHA posters around. We need safety. It depends on we need HR. We need safety. All of those things. There are shakeups abound here. To get to that place where you can have that nice flow of energy, and then you have a foundation you can build upon. And the same thing with Saturn in Aquarius. You have to think bigger when it comes to Aquarius. You have to have some original ideas or be open to something new. We have to tolerate each other even if we don't understand or see eye to eye. We have to celebrate our uniqueness. And with Saturn in Aquarius, even though we don't have the square to the nodes or, to Uranus anymore, especially today with the moon or for Sunday, with the moon in Libra, there's that nice, easy flow to talk about things. So this is a perfect day to have any relationship conversations. And I know it's not a normal work day, but maybe it could be scheduled, because this is early morning, on Sunday. Maybe there could be something scheduled, for Saturday, so that you guys say what you need to say to each other, and then you don't have to commit. It's probably a good idea not to commit to anything, but just to put something out there, think about it, and then maybe you come back on Sunday and talk about it. If it's a close relationship at home, weekend's fine, but maybe with the work week, you sit on it over the weekend and then you talk about it later. And this is the perfect. It's just about an exact trine there, just wonderful. I think I'm going to skip the sesquisquare because that sun's going to move. I'm going to skip. No, I'm not. I'm not skipping that one. I lied. This one here needs to be talked about because we're talking about Mars movement, Mars energy forward. Jupiter's about ready to move into Aries, and Mars rules Aries. And with the sesquisquare, we have to be careful about stubborn energy coming from someone who has, or they've had control over you in the past. And you're needing to learn to think outside the box. Because I think this was here all last week. We had so many, there were things that just stayed last week. Now, these two squares up here, they're separating aspects. So see Chiron at 11, and then, they're separating from, Chiron is separating from Mercury, or Mercury is separating from Chiron. Chiron's sitting there. Chiron in Aries is sitting there. But Venus is heading towards an exact. So what you do, you want to look at the degrees, right? So Venus, 10 degrees, 33 minutes. Chiron's at 11 degrees, 56 minutes, but it's retrograde. So this one's in orb here for quite some time, and this is why I was bringing up one of the reasons I was bringing up the issue with relationships. Remember, Venus rules Taurus and Libra. The moon is going to move this way and connect with join up with the South Node. And so there, again, the trust issues, we're building this. The energy is building. The energy and consciousness is building so that we can get clear with what we want in relationships and make those breakthroughs where we can. The best thing I always say is that if you're in a relationship with somebody who's as committed to growing as you are, there is no end to how far you can go and how peaceful and loving and wonderful your life can be with those types of people. So that's a consideration. The moon's also in conjunct, or quincunx, see the green line here, to Neptune this morning. And that's actually pretty beautiful. And as it moves forward, it'll wind up being in conjunct with Jupiter too. This is a dreamy kind of aspect, but it does create the need for adjustment. So what I would recommend is, if you are having any discussions, especially with someone who has any control over you, where it's not really an equal relationship and you wish it was and they're not willing to be that way, or it's your boss or a supervisor or a manager, I would recommend that you be careful about committing. And I'm saying that because Jupiter's getting ready to move into Aries, but I would be careful about overcommitting and thinking that you can just take on more and more and handle more and more. And that is especially true because, so notice Jupiter's here at 29 degrees Pisces. This is really important here. And Neptune there, we have this double square up here to the sun this morning. So we're dealing with mutable energy here and mutable energy here. And that translates to me for some people as the need to please. The need to not have, you might want to get away from them, you might want to go somewhere else, but you might have the fear of confrontation. And meanwhile, Jupiter's gonna pop into Aries pretty soon, and then there could be some inverted energy in your body if you're not clear about what you want. And so what I would say is don't commit to something too soon. That's my little bit of a warning there. We do have a little bit of so the semi-square here from Jupiter to the North Node brings in the need for acting in a way that takes you where you want to go. Just keep, again, with the North Node in Taurus, whether or not Uranus was there to help us break free, this is all about getting in touch with your deepest values, what matters to you most, and going in that direction. And away from crisis, away from drama, and, what do you want your life to be like? Like, where are you living in a place that will be sustainable and safe in 10 or 20 or 30 years? Are you paying down your credit card so you don't have to worry about the Fed rates going up? With the Taurus Scorpio polarity, it's really important that you understand that no one can say whether or not a recession is coming. The only thing that they're saying is that if it does, it won't be anything like we had in, during the pandemic, and it won't be anything, and of course, nothing like, because we have new laws in place, but nothing like we had in 2008. And then, there was one, I remember back in the late 70s, that was pretty gnarly. But anyway, the way you get through recessions is to not have any debt and to have people in your life that will support you and make sure you pay them back, and they may need support at some point. The other way you make it through is to always save, always save something for yourself. Like, don't live on the edge. And the Taurus Scorpio polarity is teaching us that. It's not good to live on the edge, because if you're living on the edge, you can't, your nervous system, which is ruled by Uranus, cannot relax. And it needs to relax. It needs to relax. That's how we keep down the anxiety, right? So, okay, I think I'll go ahead and move on, and let's look at Monday. Let's see. So notice that this is still here. The moon is definitely inching ever closer, and throughout the day, it'll conjunct with the South Node. So there's more of that wanting to be safe and out of crisis. We still have the other, both of these yods are still there. So what I said about, Sunday and, this one is all the way through to Saturday. But it's still about relationships. The energy is building and it's getting more intense is all I want to say about that. Everything I said before is the same, but the energy is becoming more intense. The moon, we can see, is making this sesquisquare aspect here, okay, to Neptune. And again, Can I trust what this person has said? Can I trust that my dreams can turn into reality if I'm willing, and am I willing to work that hard? Right? I mean, man, can I tell you some stories. Oh my goodness, we'd be here forever if I told you all the stories that I've gone through, just holding on to a vision, holding on to a dream, and the constant working it. And then sometimes, you're working it in your own way, but you're not putting it out there. You know what I mean? It's like how long I studied astrology. It started out with me having dreams. So here's Neptune, then Pisces, having dreams about the astrological symbols. It was Jupiter that kept coming through, and I have a sun conjunct Jupiter, so maybe that was why, but kept having dreams every night, and then I had to go, what are those symbols? My goodness. They wouldn't leave me alone. So obviously it was my guides trying to hook me up. And it got me to study astrology. It was that, and then also going to a Whole Life Expo thing where I sat at a lecture by Barbara Marciniak, and she said, if you don't study astrology, you're never gonna free yourself. She said, such a process of self-discovery. And she was right for me. No, she's not right for that. I mean, that's probably not the right statement for everyone, but for me, and she was probably coming from that it was right for her too. So trust your dreams, trust your visions. Know that if you really, really want something, you have to dig your heels in and work for it. And you have to meditate on it every day. That's what here's the adjustment here. This would be a good stubborn aspect to have in a person's natal chart. Anybody born with this today would be, I will hold on to my dream and my vision. It's like, remember, oh my God, Jerry Seinfeld. Someone was interviewing him and asked him, how he got where he was and blah, blah, blah. And he said, you know what? It comes down to it at the end of the day. I'm totally paraphrasing what he said, but I'm just not good at anything else. And I think it's just that he wouldn't give up on his dream, But anyway, let's see. So the moon with that sesqui square there is going to conjunct that south node, and we've talked about this, right? Remember, well, here, I'll go ahead and draw it in. Let's don't forget this, because this is all week long. Now we have the intensity of the moon, and remember that the moon will help us connect the dots in our emotional bodies. It will help us free up the past. It will help us move forward, and it will help us heal our deepest inner conflict, right? So if you have fears of being alone, if you have fears of abandonment, what about learning about coming home to yourself? What about all your inner work to help you belong to yourself? If you do that work, you wind up loving other people's connection with you even more, and at the same time, you're not coming from the place of a forcing current coming out and a demand. So if you're in a relationship with someone and you've got a demand coming out of you that they be a certain way for you, you're pushing them away, energetically pushing them away. It's like having the two magnets going at the wrong end. It's like you don't get what you want from that. So, but if you're coming from the place inside where it's like, oh, it's so cool when we get together. But if you don't have time, that's fine too. And whenever you have time, we'll do it. We'll get it together. And you know how you have those friendships where you could go a year or two or more without having a conversation just because they're so busy working or they're traveling or for whatever reason. And then you have a phone call or a visit or phone call or a text to say, hey, can you meet me? And then you get together. And it's like you never stopped the connection. The connection just never. It doesn't go away. It's an eternal place in our hearts that hooks us up with the universe, right? The heart of hearts in the universe. It's such a beautiful thing. So, okay, all the other aspects, let's see. So more intensity to help you get what you want, learn more things about yourself and ourselves and others, hook us up into the right type of relationships. If you're not in a good relationship, you're going to have to love yourself through it and work to get to the place where you can receive it. And you have to be that same thing that you're wanting, right? Okay, so this little semi-square here over to the sun, that's going to require some action. So to get going in the direction you want to go with Sag, so Sag wants freedom. Sag wants, sometimes it wants to speak up. Most of all, it wants to, Sag is ruled by Jupiter, and it wants to have meaning in our lives. We want to have meanings. Every time the sun travels through Sag, or we have a sun conjunct Jupiter situation going on, we have a lot of need to have something that you believe in and to test out all the beliefs. So Sag season for me is always about trying out new things, testing out new ideas and talking about them, listening to other people's experiences. It's a very experiential sign, as is Jupiter. And then it gives you more meaning as to which direction to go, which solidifies. So remember, Jupiter opens things up. Saturn crystallizes things that work. If they don't work, they'll dissolve. Neptune will do that. But Uranus is in the middle going, I think we need some freedom here. And then if it doesn't work out well, then Neptune will dissolve. Now this can be a false belief, this can be a relationship, this can be a business, it can be a weather situation. So let's see, what else? Yeah, I think it's just more about needing to just make sure that you're going in the direction you want to go. Stubbornly, we're dealing with fixed energy and consciousness here with the Taurus Scorpio polarity. Dig your heels in and fight for what you want. Go for what you want. As long as it's, not hurting anyone else or the planet, why not? Let's see. Yeah, the other aspects are the same there. Sun's still squaring Jupiter and Neptune. So I keep getting, be careful about committing to others, but really, really commit to yourself. Okay, so now for Tuesday, 6:33 a.m. Pacific time, Jupiter is now in Aries. And it's square the sun still. And it's now with Jupiter square the sun. So Jupiter and Aries. Let's just talk about that for a little bit. So remember, Jupiter opens things up. It helps us to explore what we want to invest ourselves in. It's all about learning, but on the higher levels. Like where Sag can be, what do you call grad school? Can be college and grad school, and Gemini can be, kindergarten through 12th, right? That's the polarity there. But with Jupiter and Aries, it's like, okay, and especially with all this other energy here, I'm thinking, it's like, okay, I think I know what I want now, so I'm just going to go for it. Well, because of the square to the sun, and that square is going to stay there even as, because it's in orb now, but it's going to, when it gets into Capricorn, that's, we have two cardinal forces that are squaring each other. See how Aries naturally squares Capricorn? Well, that's what's going to happen when the sun's over there, right? And, with Aries, it's like, sometimes it says 2 steps forward, then 1 step back. and you go, oh, whoops. Or you think you're confident and you put yourself out there and it starts going and then you're like, oh crap, what have I done? I don't know if I can do this, right? But with the sun in Capricorn, you're going to get to test it out to see if you can. Just, explore it on your own for a while. Be careful about pulling other people into it if it's not the right thing. And Jupiter's going to stay in Aries for an entire year, right? So all of us, any of us, everyone with any planets, and everybody has Aries somewhere in their chart, whatever house it is, that will be where Jupiter is in your chart for the whole year. And sometimes it can be like imagine it's here, let's say you have Aries over here, but let's say 0 degrees Aries is in the middle of your 5th house. Well, then you're going to get to have the benefits of Jupiter in your 5th and 6th for a year. And like I said, it's going to help you expand. It's going to help you explore and figure out, what you want to, where you want to go, really. It's all about growth. It's about abundance. It's about new opportunities. Sometimes, so it's about expanding in some area of your life, depending on it. Let's say if it hits your sun or your moon or your ascendant or whatever, you might have to be careful about gaining weight. I know that one. But usually it's really good. We just have to be careful about excess. And that's with Jupiter. And then with Aries, we have to be careful about impulsiveness. We have to be careful about, what we want to do with Aries is we want to assert our unique individuality and get into our, what I like to call, positive life force moving forward. And, blaze your own path. Be daring. But go towards win-win situations. Because if we're too competitive, and it can be fun with games, right? But if you're not a good loser, or if it matters to you too much, it's going to cause problems. And what kind of problems would it cause? Well, what's the opposite of Aries? Libra, relationship problems. Okay? And Venus ruling relationship is up here going, do I want to party down? We're getting down to brass tacks here with Venus and Mercury in Capricorn, because Capricorn wants control. It wants people to be, responsible. It wants to be in, relationship with people who will work hard to have a healthy relationship or to do their job, that they've been paid to do. Or will be paid to do. You want somebody, basically, bottom line is that you can count on. You don't want to be in relationships that you can't count on. And that I certainly understand. Because otherwise, we're wasting our time. And the older we get, the less time we have. Right? Well, less patience too sometimes, right? It's like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. You get wise enough to where you can track the patterns. Mars in Gemini is helping us to do that, and we can see like, oh, well, that's weird. I can see where that one's going, right? So, yeah. Let's see, what else with Jupiter and Aries? It's more, I'm just saying to, use it to heal your abandonment issues or alone, fear of being alone. But be careful about being impulsive. And set those healthy boundaries when people are coming at you and they want you to just do everything for them, and they're not in it for anything other than to just take from you. That's one of the deals. And be very careful about committing. Be very, very careful about committing to something that it may feel good, may sound good, may be a wonderful, really, really wonderful thing to do, but just maybe the timing is off. Maybe it's not something you could handle, or maybe it's something you can handle if you negotiate support. Like, okay, I'll do this, this, and this, but I'm going to need help with that, and that, type of thing. And then you work on balancing it out, because remember, we're always going to want to go to the polar opposite to balance out. I never read astrology as just focusing in on the one sign. I'm always looking at the polarity. In fact, in my astrology lessons, I've never taught like just the one sign. It's always what's the other sign, because on Earth it's all about us learning balance. And you can't have one thing without the other on Earth. It doesn't anchor. And we want strong, healthy anchors. So it's not just me, it's also them. And it doesn't have to be me versus them, it's us. And join these two in the middle, and it's us. Okay? As I'm talking about with the win-win situations. Okay, enough of that. Let me get off my soapbox here. Okay, so anything else? I think I've said enough about the Jupiter and Libra polarity going on. I don't see anything else for today. Well, the Sun, yeah, actually we could talk about this. So the Sun in the sesquisquare to Uranus in the North Node. This is directional. If you're traveling for any reason, especially like with the holiday thing, do your visualization and your meditation. You're putting it out there to get safely where you're going, and be willing to be patient and know that safety is really the thing that matters. So if your plane is if you're experiencing a layover, or you have any type of a reschedule, just go with it. Don't get angry about it. Just go with it. With the moon on the other side of, it's still in Scorpio, but with the moon on the other side of the South Node, we will have picked up quite a bit of wisdom. And now we're moving forward in a really beautiful way. And notice how it was moving, it became more intense, especially maybe some past life awareness came through. And now we also had the ability for the moon, because see, it's at 20, Uranus is at 15, right? So we've got this double opposition here. There's a lot of intensity, the need for safety, the need for trusting your body. If the hair's going up on the back of your neck, but be standing next to someone, move, right? Just really trust your body, because it will, make you aware if need be. With the moon in Scorpio, especially 20 degrees is getting to be a very ripe degree. And it's in that second decan where there's a deeper awareness of trusting yourself. And you don't need to be afraid of betrayal if you stop betraying yourself. A lot of times Scorpio has, there's a lot of fear of betrayal. There's also sometimes a fear of change and regeneration. So be willing and open for change with this polarity. We're all going through that, right? But also, just don't betray yourself. Like I said, if you get those aha moments that pop through on a body level especially, and it has anything to do with your safety, please heed the call. And then from there, that will be that. Notice how we still have the semi-square from the South Node. So the wisdom of the past that might need some action about which direction, to go forward, which direction to go. So all of this to me spells travel. If it's travel, be careful and be okay with delays, because safety is the only thing that really matters. It's always a really good intention to, when you get in your car, say to yourself, I got this from Louise Hay when she was alive. I used to go to her in the early 90s. I used to go to her she had workshops all the time. But anyway, her and Marianne Williamson were really cool in the late 80s and 90s, or late 80s and all the way through. Well, they were cool from the get-go. But anyhow, with Louise Hay, she used to have this mantra where you get in your car and you say, I am surrounded by safe and competent drivers. And you might have to remind yourself a lot of times when you see somebody scrolling around and doing crazy things, especially if you're in California or anywhere, you know. Usually accidents happen because people are just driving like idiots. So be very careful driving, traveling, send lots of love. No matter what, love is always the key. And then, you know, like I said, be okay with delays. It's better to get there safely than it doesn't matter if you're on time when it comes to being safe. Let's see. We can see that the moon is square Saturn. So, oops. So there we go. With maybe some serious fun that's a little bit of a challenge. I don't know. Again, there's another, you know, travel aspect that could be tricky. And the sun, you know, that's been happening with the square to Jupiter up here and Neptune, that double square. So, you know what? I just heard, pay attention. That's the thing with all these aspects here, is to just pay attention. Be present with Aries, with Jupiter, you know, newly into Aries. Stay present. That's one of the gifts of Aries, is that presence, that focus. But as long as you can stop getting distracted and stay present, you're going to be just fine. But we have a beautiful aspect here for calling in your guides, guardian angels, and any type of spiritual support to help you wherever you want to go, no matter what you're doing. Even if it's just the laundry. And we also have, I mean, these are challenging aspects, but they turn into strengths if you set your intention right and you work through them, because they are connectors. See, that's the thing when we have these aspects, all the aspects between the planets, they're all connectors. And so I think I'm going to go ahead. No, actually, I'm going to stick with this one for a minute, just because, see this double aspect of the architect here? Okay, so this is heading up to Mercury and Venus. It doesn't involve Pluto, but it does involve both the moon and the south node. And so what I'm going to say now probably should have been said at the beginning, because I think it started happening earlier, and, well, I know it did actually, and the reason I can say that is because see how the south node is at 12 degrees and Venus is at 13, so that was already happening, and we talked about that, you know, on Sunday, right? But notice how, actually, you know what, you guys, I screwed up. I should have talked about it on Sunday. Hold on, let's look. Let me check ahead. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's just for the next 2 days. Okay. So this, I should have said, is from Sunday through Wednesday. And this is the aspect of the architect here. So what that means is it's a building aspect in the zodiac, in the, you know, the cosmos, the heavens, whatever you want to call it, that's holding space for us to build something. And it's applying to relationships, it's applying to safety, it's applying to inventions, it's applying to, well, everything I talked about earlier. But this top point up here has to do, I think, a lot with getting messages. I'm gonna bet that by now we're getting, oh, you know what? Maybe we don't have it yet, because this is, well, but then again, 13, yeah, 15, 12. Okay, so Mercury's ahead of everything, of course, because it goes fast. Mercury's a messenger. In Capricorn, we're talking about government. So I'm thinking J6 committee, even though if we might not have it on Tuesday, then again we might, because it's here. And one of the main reasons they were doing the entire investigation is so that they could create new laws so that it could never happen again. And because they are, first and foremost, legislatures, or I should say legislators. We have the 3 legislative branches, and they write laws. The people on the J6 committee, they write laws. So we need to get them passed, but I'm thinking that things are going to be put out there because we're talking safety and security for government workers so that crisis can't happen again. Now, we could translate this into our own lives and say safety and security in our own life, right? For how we live and breathe and build and work and have control over our own lives away from crisis. Okay, so now I think I'm done. Except, no, I'm not. I lied. I do that a lot, don't I? The moon is trine Neptune. And 22, so it's applying, or it's 20 degrees to 22, so it's applying. And it's been applying, these are tight orbs with my program, but everything I'm talking about is all building up to something, right? Because that's the way life works. The moon trine to Neptune from Scorpio to Pisces is beautiful for creating something where you can go deep and have that spiritual power, have that devotion. Pisces and Neptune are all about devotion and spirituality of all types. People being very empathic, compassionate. Pisces to me is the sign of pure potentiality. We do have to be careful with addictive tendencies with this contact here. So I would say, Tuesday, and because this is building, and maybe we could even say back here, early in the week, maybe we could even say from Sunday on, Sunday through Tuesday at least, to be careful with substance because, Scorpio and Pisces, we do have those tendencies with those signs. And know what you're going towards, okay? So this is why I don't have judgments when it comes to addiction, because I just see it, that need to transcend, human physical reality as being a call to our spirits. It's just that we have to substitute those real needs. We have a real need for pleasure because we are pleasure beings. We come from a realm where it's 100% pleasure all the time. You can't even have a negative thought where we come from. And then here we are, slam dunk onto this dualistic sphere, and it's like, what? And then we take it personally that we can't make things be the way it was in the past. Meanwhile, we all have that wise unconscious, memory of living in the spirit world, and we're having to. Here's the main word here. Here, I'll write it out. We're having to accept duality. Well, let's do that. Accept duality. And don't take it personally when you don't have the pleasure that you want. Go towards a healthy pleasure. And it's hard. We learn our limits. We learn, I can't eat all that. Oh, I can't eat that at all. Oh, I can't drink that. Oh, that burns. Oh, that hurts. Oh, goodness, why did I take that? Oh, God, how long is it going to take, excuse me, for it to move through my system? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, life on planet Earth. So accept the duality. Know that you are a spiritual. Who was that? What was that guy's name? Dan? Oh, I forget the guy that way back when that first started talking about his near-death experience. But he always said, I'm a human being. He learned in his near-death experience that he was a spiritual being having a human experience. So just remind yourself of that in the hard times. Don't beat yourself up. Don't judge yourself. Just keep saying, it's all right. Here we go with Jupiter and Aries. I can get up and I can do it better. We can always do better, right? All of us. So, and just because we make mistakes, that doesn't mean that we're bad or wrong or inadequate or anything else. I think that might be why that, because that Jupiter and Aries there, it's in that tight semi-square to the North Node, right? That's important. So don't forget that. Remember that the semi-squares require action. So keep moving in the direction you want to go, but just start valuing your body. If we could be as kind to our bodies as possible, right? Okay. Let's move forward. So with Wednesday, this is the first day of the winter solstice. The sun, it's at 1:49 p.m. Pacific. The sun is now at 0 degrees Capricorn. And day by day, it's moving forward. It's going to catch up to Pluto by the end of the month, right? Or next year. God, I can't believe that. Where has time gone? But let's look at the aspects to the winter solstice here at 1:49 p.m. on the 21st is North America. But for our friends in Australia and New Zealand, South America, the southern hemispheres, South Africa, they are all experiencing the first day of summer, but not till the 22nd, tomorrow, because they're 15, 16 hours ahead of us, 14 to 16 hours, 17, some of them. Yeah. So there are our friends in the future. Let's say, happy summer. Send them lots of love. They send us so much love and support. So we are sisters and brothers. Now, let's see. With this first day of winter, setting off this whole season, the pattern I can see, besides this finger of fate, right, to heal the past, I'm going to say this as many times until you guys just say, shut up, stop. Healing the past and moving forward with a whole new belief in yourself. And that is supported here with the sun square to Jupiter. It's a tension field, but you can work it. We can have a breakthrough here with Uranus to the south node, leading in the direction of more safety, more love, more pleasure, more bliss. Maybe you stop smoking and you put the money towards a monthly massage. Maybe the money you would have spent on cigarettes for a month can add up to at least a couple of massage or acupuncture appointments if your insurance helps cover, or a massage or a chiropractor, whatever your insurance might cover, or if you don't have any insurance at all, maybe it's every other month. But it's something for yourself and something that honors your body and something that brings you pleasure. Because remember, you are a pleasure being. It's a real need for pleasure in your life. We just have to go towards the positive pleasure and move away from the negative pleasure. And if you want more information about that, I have a whole page on my website devoted to it. It's up at the top menu, and I've got a funky website. I'm sorry, but I don't have the time to rebuild it, and I haven't found somebody that I don't know if I want to do it yet. If I do, I'll probably change domains, but I don't want to lose my name, domain name. So, but anywho, there's a page called Negative versus Positive Pleasure. And it's all about how our life force within, how we're wired, right? We're wired for freedom, and we're wired to go back home to who we truly are. And life on Earth is a test. It's a testing ground for us to learn how to do it more quickly. Because in the spirit world, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, no, that's not such a problem. You just go towards the pleasure because there's no reason to make a change, right? So, with this winter solstice chart, I can see that we have a new aspect here, and I love this. Look at this. Look at Venus. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. Venus will get there, though. So don't fault me too much, but it's mostly, for now, Mercury to Neptune. So Venus is like personal love. Neptune is spiritual love. Mercury, headed in the direction towards Pluto, is teaching us that, and it's 7 degrees apart, but already I feel this, this stellium here coming in, because that's where we're headed. So let's just talk about that, because this is the winter kicking this off, but we will be experiencing this very solid, powerful foundation to work with the spiritual realm even more deeply, like to get under that veil. And Venus is, to me, personal love, and then Neptune represents impersonal spiritual love. So this could be your personal truth that you've experienced, and then Neptune would represent absolute truth that is always there. Like the love is always there, but you didn't experience it growing up, but that's still your real truth. And that's something to really work with, and tease out the false beliefs, and then make those changes. When you turn around the false beliefs, you change your life. You can reorganize reality. You can reorganize your life with truth. So if you just keep aligning to the love and loving yourself through whatever you have to go through, you're going to be just fine. And so now, what's new here as well is Venus. So this winter season, this Venus square Jupiter, again, cardinal energy with both of these signs. So the cardinal signs are the 4 corners, right? So Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn in the natural zodiac. And cardinal energy moves forward. It's movement oriented. It gets us going. That's why it changes the seasons, right? So we have spring, summer, fall, and winter. And from there, we have a whole brand new reality coming in. Well, for the winter season, it's going more inward. It's usually cold. But if you're living in the southern hemisphere, or you're living in any state where it's been naturally very hot, you might really welcome the colder weather. Or like I said, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're having you're having summer. So, and maybe in the summer in the southern hemisphere, you can really accomplish a lot. But for us in the northern hemisphere, it's more internal. So it all depends on where you live. As far as the weather will definitely dictate how we move through life. It just does. That's the way it is. And with the square from Jupiter to Venus, Mercury, absolutely. And eventually Jupiter will square Pluto. But for now, let's just talk about these two. Let's zone it into just here. Okay. It's going to turn into some purple, but that'll be fun. Okay, so Venus and Mercury square Jupiter will help us strengthen our relationship bonds and who we want to invest our time talking to, who we want to invest our time collecting information for. And, we're weighing what happened in the past, and we're learning all the time, and we're deciding okay, I'll move forward with this person or this company or this business, or I'll buy from these people now, but I'm not buying from the other ones anymore because they don't support, gun rights that would protect the children. Something like that. You know what I mean? It's like maybe I'll shop at Lowe's instead of Home Depot. Right? Things like that. Maybe I'll switch from, I don't know if they're any better, but when it comes to who donated the most to the GOP, it was AT&T. So maybe if you can, you switch over to another carrier. Check them out first, though. There's a website called opensecrets.org where you can get all kinds of information. Online, you can do your research. You just have to, make sure it's a valid, or make sure it's a reputable website. But yeah. Let's see. And they're tricky, you have to be careful. But you guys are smart. I know you know where to go. What else? Mercury will go retrograde at the end of the month, so think about that. Like, it's gonna move forward. This is just kind of a heads up, right? So it won't happen until I have my notes over here on this. I have a board over here, another clipboard. So December 29th, Mercury goes retrograde at 8 degrees. So it's already, well, let's see, hold on. Yeah, December 12th was when Mercury moved into, or went into the retro zone. So 20, it's going to go retrograde at 24. So it's at 20 now. So we're talking. The reason I'm talking about this now is that we're talking about issues with power and learning more about people who've been abusing their power, because that's what Pluto and Capricorn. On our personal level, this is about us being in our integrity, us learning to align with spiritual law, spiritual principles in order to spend our money, right? Organize our reality, things like that. Notice that we still have that aspect of the architect going on between, this is still there. And so we're still building from the wisdom of the past and to break free into the future with this aspect here. Just in case you forgot, this is that aspect of the architect there, okay? And with Mercury, because 12 to 12, it's Venus that's in the aspect of the architect, but Mercury, it's going to go retrograde at 24, and it's going to retrograde all the way back to 8 degrees, okay? So when it retrogrades back into 8 degrees Capricorn, then it's gonna sit there for a while. It'll be until, so the retrograde timing is going to be December 29th. That'll be next week. I'll talk about it then. It'll station and turn retrograde at 24 degrees. It'll be right here. And so Mercury, and we're at the beginning stages of Mercury and Pluto really starting to talk to each other. It's like, oh, you want control? You want to install yourself as the president forever? After you instigated a very planned, violent insurrection to overturn the government and not peacefully transfer your dictatorship from the 4 years before. No, you don't get to suck off the people anymore. You don't get to suck off the government anymore. We didn't vote you back in again. And, so now there's all this information. Remember, Mercury's information that comes through that helps Pluto will either bury something or bring it to light. Well, in the later degree of Capricorn, it's been bringing all the dirty politicians to light. I mean, that's the thing we can thank Trump for, is that he did expose the swamp creatures. He came in saying he was going to clean up the swamp or whatever. Yeah, we saw how you did that, because now we see you guys. We see you all. So with Pluto, it's going to eliminate some of these dirty politicians. And see how we have that semi-square stubbornly holding space. Mars is here stirring up the energy, bringing up the past, bringing in the opportunity to let everyone know that they matter, but they need to respect everyone else's matter. And if not, they're going to pay the price from the past, especially if you're like Stuart Rhodes or what's his name, Danny Tario or whatever that guy's name was. There was a bunch of them. There are a lot of them. But anyway, I noticed that with the moon, with this winter solstice, we have another aspect of the architect here. Okay, so the moon at 8 degrees Sag is trining 11 degrees Chiron. And Chiron's going to go direct. You'll see that coming up. And then we have the sextile, which brings an opportunity to Mars, which is directional. And Chiron's here at the, bucket point. It's going to drop. The energy's going to drop. The moon is giving us this information, or this directional guidance, intuition. Sag is all about intuition, freedom, speaking up, having faith in yourself, the need to, have something to believe in, and you want someone to believe in you. But if you believe in yourself, it doesn't matter. But there's this opportunity, this flow of energy, and this opportunity to get to the truth, to connect the patterns, to learn something new. And this is what the J6 committee will provide. And this is setting off the whole season. The criminal referrals in the J6 report are setting off the season. Think about that. And Pluto in this semi-square to Mars, that's just stubbornly has been sitting there, is now also opposed and connecting with the moon. So I do think that J6 will get the report out, and by the 21st, by Wednesday, we're going to be glued in front of our TVs or reading like crazy and seeing what's happening. Like I said before, the people will be waking up and smelling the cat box, and it's time for change. And you can see that Jupiter is still squaring the sun. So back to, I'm sorry, I'm going to write this down for you so you can make notes, okay? So Mercury, so here, maybe I'll just do this. If I do this, and you can take a screenshot, okay? Or you can write it down. So December 12th, Mercury already it entered the retro zone, so went into Capricorn in that zone where it's going to move in and out of. Because Mercury is going to go, well, here, let's do this. Let's get a new chart. Let's go to the next day. Oops. Oh, well. Hold on. There we go. Here. Okay. So Mercury is going to be here, move to 24, and then it's going to go back. So it's going to be like that, back and forth for 3.5 weeks. And it does this. It does this for. It does this every 3 to 4 months, or 3.5 months. So. And a third of the population is born during Mercury retrograde. It just makes us more inwardly oriented, and it does bring in, if somebody's born with Mercury retrograde, it takes until Mercury goes direct by progression when you're about 30 before you can find your voice. But you're always going to feel better when Mercury's retrograde. So all of you Mercury retrogrades out there are going to feel better during this time, okay? So it's going to be December 29th. Here's the important piece right here. December 29th, it's going to turn retrograde at 24 degrees Capricorn. And then January 18th next year is going to station, it's going to stop. It's not the planet, it's Earth that's doing the relationship between the planets. So we need a better way to explain it. But the way it's going to affect us is the way we think and communicate. And we'll be more inwardly oriented when it's retrograde, and we're going to get to renew and review, and I'll talk about all that next week. But anyway, here are the dates, okay? So January 18th, it's going to station, and it'll turn direct at 8 degrees. But it's going to take until February 7th before it gets out of that shadow of 24 degrees, right? Because it's here, it's going to go to 24, and then it's going to retrograde all the way back to 8, and then it'll station direct, and then it has to move forward again, and that'll be next February when it gets to that 24 degrees again. Okay, so it's going to be, and meanwhile, Venus is going to be in there doing her thing. We'll talk about that next week too. So it's going to be this dance between relationship and power. So for now through February, okay? And we'll talk about what Venus does during that time too. So, okay, so let's look at Thursday with the moon. So the moon's at 18 degrees Sag. You can see right here. So we're still moving forward. It's, travel time for holidays. Be very careful, like I was saying before. We still have that aspect of the architect going on with the moon. So it's building, or it was building, and now it's separating. So the energy is less intense. But this sextile here, look at that, 11 here. This is nice. This nice opportunity to, again, change your mind about who you think you are. Let yourself be somebody. Let yourself be your natural self that's already perfect and completely wise and full of love and light. Light is love. Love is light. Of course, you can find love in the dark, can't you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But yeah, well, I don't know. I've had those experiences of meditating in the complete dark and then having a bunch of light in my head. It's like, oh. Okay, so the moon is also sextiling. See the sextile over here that doesn't connect with anything else except for Saturn. So Sag and Aquarius make for fun travel times. So if you are having to travel and you do have a layover, you might find somebody really interesting to talk to. You might even meet a new friend. And notice how we also have the sextile here from Neptune up to, so 22 degrees, and it's moving this way. It's only connecting with Mercury right now, but Venus is headed there, so I'm just going to put it all together. And this tells me spiritual relationships and creative relationships. Pisces and Libra. Well, actually, all the signs have their own, artistic quality. And notice that we still have that sextile, so we don't have the. We lost the one, finger of fate. But the other one's still there all week. But we have this double trine up here. So the North Node in Uranus is trining Mercury and Venus. That's really lovely. Mercury will move out soon. Well, but then, see, this is going to stay. Let's talk about this, because we're going to have this experience, this trine to Mercury and Venus to the North Node in Uranus. when we have the Mercury retrograde experience, this will be involved. So again, actually, it's what I was saying in the beginning. It's all about working in a way, moving towards working in a way that, especially when the sun, as the sun moves further and farther, farther, 1 degree every day towards Venus and Mercury, there's going to be so much more energy going towards people who are solid, people who you can trust, people who want the same things you want, and people who want freedom and safety and pleasure and blissed out love. And they have their spiritual connections, they have their artistic abilities, and I have no judgment as to what is art and what isn't. So please don't think yourself not an artist if you don't do, like the tangible type of art. But yeah, this is really wonderful on Thursday. I'm seeing the beginning of something beautiful. And all the other aspects are still there. Notice we still have the semi-square to Jupiter, so that's still going on. Jupiter still, let's see, wait. Yeah, Jupiter's still squaring the sun. Well, yeah, of course, duh. Dirt. This is me all day long. Dirt. 0 to 0. Yep, that's a square. Okay. So again, that's back to that, be careful about committing to too much. Okay. So now, for Friday, we have the Capricorn New Moon. Look at that, at 1 degree Capricorn. So wherever Capricorn 1 degrees, oops, come on, there we go, lies in your chart, you can set your intentions, and actually you can start at any time. And so you can start it at the beginning of the week. Start setting your intention for what you want to build. And look at your chart and see which house it's in. And you can do the most work there, but it can be anywhere in your life. It doesn't have to just be in one area of your life. Each of the houses represent an area of your life. But when it comes to especially Capricorn energy, it's all about manifesting. You can create something solid. And with the new moon, it'll be very dark outside. We won't see it happen. Some of the astrologers were calling it a new supermoon, and just because it's closer to the Earth, I guess, but we won't see it. It's not like we'll see it. But if you feel it, let me know. Maybe this is a real thing. It's not something I've heard anybody talk about before. I have a Facebook friend, he's a sweetheart, Richard Knoll, or you know what? I've never heard him say his last name, so I don't know how. It might be Nolle or whatever. It's Nolle. He's been an astrologer for years and years and years, and he's the one that invented the super full moon because of the perigee to the Earth. He invented that name, that definition, back in the 70s. So maybe there is such a thing as a new supermoon. I'm not going to argue with anybody about it, but anyhow, it happens at 2:16 a.m. Friday morning. And like I said, wherever 1 degree of Capricorn is in your chart, but it can be, any area of your life, start setting your intention for what you want to create, what you want to bring in. And it's especially beautiful with Venus trine Uranus that I was talking about before, because just imagine, like I was saying, that the sun and the moon are going to both start heading this way. So the new moon is a time to, when I say new moon, just think intention. And know that the spiritual law around that is that with our intention, energy and consciousness, so your intention is your consciousness. It's like your divine masculine. saying, I want to do this. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to study this. I'm going to do whatever it is. I want to bring in this. I'm going to manifest this. And then the receptive divine feminine wraps its energy around your intention. So you want to intend for what you want. And that's how you get yourself out of victim consciousness that says, oh, shit just happens. It's like, no. How about shift happens? How about you can shift your reality based on your beliefs? And you're going to have quite some time to work with it and to start manifesting it because it starts out at 1 degree. It's a very beginning. It's like the Ace of Pentacles. It's, you've got this new opportunity. Go through that gateway, go for what you want, and then just start building the blocks to create what it is that you're trying to, whatever it is you want to bring in. And notice the sun will start moving forward and bring more power and light into this Venus sextile Neptune, so more opportunities to build whatever it is, spirit. It's already there for you in the spiritual world, in the spiritual realm. You just need to, in the spiritual spheres, it's already there. You just need to work to open to it in this physical realm. So, work hard on the things that matter to you most, but open up to things being easier too, right? It's a balance of both. You can't just say, oh, yeah, magically, well, I don't know, maybe sometimes you can. Magically, somehow my credit cards will all be paid off if you have a lot of debt, but meanwhile, you still keep charging on them, right? That's probably not going to work. Yeah, they could maybe be magically paid off, but if you keep charging on them when you can't afford it, that's like that's probably some form of spiritual bypassing, where you're avoiding what's really going on, and that's not what we're here for. So, the new moon, of course, is now, it's still squaring Jupiter. So there's that, the sun and the moon, of course, are squaring Jupiter. So there's that piece again where I want to say be careful about what you commit to. So if it's a credit card with 0% interest for 6 months and you're going to work really hard to pay down, transfer, go for it, but read the fine print. With Capricorn, we're talking physical reality of something that you'll be stuck with. So make sure no matter what it is, you're going to read the fine print. And let's see, anything else? With the double sesquisquare down to Uranus. Yeah, I would just say, you know what? Stubbornly hold on. Let this be an opportunity to stubbornly hold on to what you really want, what you're really going for, as long as it's geared towards freedom, liberation, waking up to the truth, allowing things to just break free in your life. Let's see, is there anything else? Mercury has that sesquisquare to Mars that's been happening. Oh no, I'm sorry, not Mercury, it's Pluto. Yeah, that's still there. That's the same one. Mercury is moving to, there's a little Freudian slip, I guess, because Mercury will connect with Pluto. Well, we'll get to 24 and sit there for a little bit. And then that will put it into orb with Mars. So again, it's the same thing. As I was saying, we're thinking and talking about integrity and people that are in positions of authority. And are you the author of your own life or what? Okay, I'm going to move forward. Saturday, Merry Christmas Eve, if you celebrate Christmas. Hi, Cindy, who celebrates Hanukkah and Christmas. She changes everything out for Christmas Eve. Oh, must be great at her house. So anyway, look at this. The moon's right in the middle. How beautiful. This could be, I'm feeling like this can just be one of the most beautiful, solid with this stellium here, look at that. 5 planets in Capricorn. Wow. And the Sun and Venus are trining Uranus and the North Node. So solid self-responsibility to connect to a future of freedom, a freer future. I didn't know which way to get that out. And so all the other aspects are the same. The moon is also sextiling Neptune. So now we have not only, 22, 18, 19, 22. You know what? Look at that. There's a perfect example of where there's a little, looks like a program flaw to me. Because, it's a 5, 6, 7 degree orb when it comes to these graceful aspects. But look at that. Now the sun will get in there later. There should be 3 lines. 18 to 22 is 4 degrees, right? 19 to 22 is 3 degrees. 22 to 22 is right on. But this is a stellium over to very spiritual, compassionate, mystical, loving, kind, caring, empathic, devoted Neptune and Pisces. It's also, when it comes to, because Pisces is my sign for immigration. Aquarius can be too, but with this stellium, there could be maybe some solid, I don't know, over the holidays, it doesn't usually happen, but maybe there's some solid work towards finding a way to help these refugees and to help, because there are people from all these different countries who are having such a hard time and they're trying to get across the border, but we just don't have places for them. At least that I know. I don't know. But now that gives me this idea here. I'm going to put it in orange with Jupiter, because this would be more creative, right? I don't know. Pink's pretty creative, but I can't do a red highlighter without blocking everything out. But Jupiter squaring the sun. There could be the light shining on a way for these guys to move forward. There could be a spotlight on a way to more compassionately, and also to, to support homeless people, especially over the holidays. That's just heartbreaking to think of that. And now you can see the finger of fate is finally moved forward because Mars has retrograded back. Oh, wait, you know what? I forgot to, so notice Jupiter, I forgot to run a chart just for Chiron going direct, but notice it's not retrograde anymore. Oh, that happened, I'm sorry, you guys. That happened on, did it happen before Friday? Yeah, no. Thursday it wasn't. It went direct Friday, actually in between the night, because this is 2:16 a.m. Yeah, I didn't run a separate, I think, so it happened somewhere before 2 a.m. Pacific. But anyway, let's talk about Chiron. I'll do it over here. Chiron direct is now the ability to, and it's in that sextile to Mars. So Mars is at 10, but Mars is gone back. But Chiron's at 11. So we're going to have this sextile. So this is an opportunity to move forward in a new way, because we've learned something more about, I think, that all people matter. I mean, my goodness, when it comes to, so Mars's movement, Chiron is our deepest wounding, but then our greatest gifts. And Aries is about no one being left out. So there's an opportunity for movement so that no one's left out. And then we still have this inconjunct to the past. So this quincunx, so this, when I say quincunx or inconjunct, just translate that into the need for an adjustment coming from the wisdom of the past, where people don't need to be in crisis anymore. If we could just, you know what I mean? It's like these billionaires, how about they help people who cannot make it in some way, right? I mean, and I'm sure there are a lot of them that are, like Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. She she gave away so much, and more people can. I mean, if you're a billionaire, my goodness. Let's see. So for Christmas Eve, I would say that Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, so Christmas Eve day and Christmas Eve itself, because the sun and the moon, or the moon's going to just stay in Capricorn, and it's going to connect with Mercury and Pluto. So we could have some powerful interactions, some powerful conversations, powerful downloads of information that help us create win-win situations, because we're much more compassionately connected to our hearts. And, you know, Capricorn can get a bad rap for being, you know, controlling and all of that, but Capricorns are it's the opposite, you know, the polar opposite of Cancer. So I guess if we tune in here, and both signs are very shy. They're pretty, introverted, unless there's some other, you know, planet conjunct the sun or other aspects that puts their energy out there. They're usually pretty introverted, but they're both geared towards security and safety. Very aware of the home and the hearth and the family, and wanting to provide protection in the highest sense. In the highest sense, Capricorn is like your duty towards your family, and on the lowest sense, they're narcissistic. The pain with Capricorn can be not being respected, not being seen and heard and understood. But that can be true for any sign as well. So other than that, I would just say it looks to me like it's a time for some solid, good fun. And just be careful about overcommitting. But it looks like a wonderful, wonderful Christmas Eve. So, but I'll be back next Thursday, and we'll look at Christmas Day and the week after. Okay, take care, you guys. Big hugs. Bye.